Hi everyone, this is Miss Barnett. I just wanted to jump on to YouTube. Welcome to my dining room. That's my kitchen back there in the back, and my dog is somewhere around here by my feet. So I just wanted to jump on and go over some of the questions that were asked via the Google form. So on our history fair exploration, a bunch of you asked some questions about history fair. So I thought it would be great to just do a live and see how many of them I could answer so that you could just watch this and go back to it whenever you'd like to. So I'll just kind of go through the questions as they appear on the list. So the first one is one question is, can we do World War II? So as far as history fair is concerned, you want to be on as narrow of a topic as possible. So World War II is just way too broad of a topic. Now we can take that and we can narrow it down from World War II to maybe World War II in a particular country, or World War II and a particular battle, World War II and a particular general. So yes, you can do World War II. The answer to that short question is yes, but you've got to narrow it down to something that you can focus on, finding some really good resources and getting like a whole view of the story, because people write books about World War II. It's way too much. All right. Second question was, what is the gender barrier? So that was one of the barriers that they talked about in the theme narrative. So the gender barrier is basically being limited by whether you're male or female. So, for example, it wasn't until maybe in the last few decades that women held positions of being like a CEO of a big company. And even today, a lot of the big CEOs, the big players in the Fortune 500 companies are all still going to be male. And if a woman makes it, wow, she's, big deal. Even in the military, it wasn't until recent history that women were even able to be in combat roles. So a gender barrier is a barrier that's placed on you because of the fact that you are a female, or in some cases in a female dominated role, like say, for example, motherhood, maybe limited by being a male. One question I have about history fair is, how do we do it, like on a sheet of paper or like a board? Well, the board, the traditional like science fair type board, that's just one type of project. That is the exhibit. And if you look on the National History Fair website, where you can see like sample projects, you can see some sample exhibits. And you can see that they're way, way more elaborate than just a trifold board, So, but that is one option. You can also do, instead of an exhibit, you can do a performance, you can do a paper, you can do a website, or you can do a documentary. So you have 5 different options of things that you can do. Several questions about when will History Fair be? So History Fair is actually going to be held on the campus January the 14th. And so we'll be doing a lot of still exploration stuff in the next month or so. We're going to be going into the library with Miss Rogers to do some research strategies, and then maybe in October and early November, you'll be focusing on your research, getting your resources together, knowing, making sure that you have enough primary sources and secondary sources. And then in December, you'll probably start putting all of your information together. And your rough drafts are going to be due in December, early December. And then we give you over the Christmas break to finalize everything and turn in your final copies of your annotated bibliography and your process paper. Somebody asked, how long can a barrier survive without being broken? I don't know. It really depends on the barrier. Like we said, there's, physical barriers, and there's all kinds of different barriers. So it really depends on what it is. A lot of students asked about, is it possible for me do we have to do it on Texas history? That's a good question. No, you don't. But we do want you, for 7th graders, we are going to give you a list of topics that are Texas specific. And again, a lot of the judges, they're here in Texas at the Regional History Fair and at the state level, and they like to see those Texas projects because they want to see the Texas projects move up. So it gives you just a little bit of an edge if you focus on Texas history. Let's see what else. Basic format of a history fair project. So the basic format of the History Fair project is that once you've done your research and decided how am I going to present my information, you will explain the process that you went through with your research, and how you decided on the type of project and how your project relates to the theme in a process paper. You will also explain all of your resources in an annotated bibliography. So let's say you have 10 different resources. You'll say, from this resource, I got this little bit of information. From this resource, I got this little bit of information, etc. Are we going to have to present the History Fair project? The only ones that actually present them in front of a judge is the website and the documentary. You stand in front of the judges, give them a couple minutes spiel, and then they look at your website or look at your video. So they might ask you some questions about, like, how you came about this topic, etc. A performance, you actually have to perform it in front of in front of the judges. So as soon as it's your time to go on, you just start like if you were doing a play, for example. On the other two, on a historical paper and on an exhibit, on those two, those are standalone projects. In other words, all the information that the judges might want to ask you will have to be in there, because you don't get an opportunity to say, oh, let me explain that. So the only ones that you get that opportunity to give a little bit more feedback is with the presentation, the website, and the documentary. Somebody said how we have set barriers to our advantage. I'm not really sure what you're asking there, so maybe you can come chat with me about it. And then the last question that's on here is, can we get started right now? Absolutely. I would definitely start looking at some ideas. I would definitely start looking at some of the resources that we're going to be posting. There's a whole list of possible topics on the National History Day website, suggested topics. So we definitely think that it would be a good idea to really start your exploration. And then that way, once we get into the library, you're starting to focus down onto it. So hopefully I answered everybody's questions. Thank you again for tuning in. Let me put this back in the middle now. I was looking at the other screen. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will be definitely posting a lot more resources on this History Fair Google Classroom. And so that'll be just kind of there as a depository for you to be able to go back and get as much information as you need and answer any questions. But please remember that me and Mr. Palmer are here to answer any of your questions. And if there's any doubt, we're in it to win it. So we want to make sure that you guys perform as well as you can, because we like winning. So anyway, thank you. Bye. Have a good night.